I've been doing a very intense study on the narcissistic personality disorder. I started doing it about a week ago because I was trying to understand Loree McBride and what it was that drove her. So I said, let me check out I read a description of the narcissistic personality disorder. I thought, wow, that explains my ex-husband and Loree McBride. I know a lot about Loree McBride because the real Brent Spiner and I have been communicating, and he's told me what she's done to him, how she drug raped him, and but I just couldn't understand why we were able to get Zach Knight and we can't get the Loree McBride Jesuits, why they won't come to us. And I've come to the conclusion that Zach Knight, as sick as he was, and he did a lot of evil things, he had a little bit of the narcissistic personality disorder, but not as much as people like Loree McBride. Now, Angelina Ballerina, I think it was just a full-blown psychopath, just cold and just enjoyed being evil, and may have been a bit of a narcissist herself, but more of a psychopath, more of a predator. With Loree McBride, I think she started off as someone with narcissistic personality disorder and maybe a predator too. Personal opinion, the chances of Loree McBride getting right or becoming like a normal person, a mentally healthy person, is probably slim to none, simply because Satan is meeting with her and feeding her narcissistic illness. In other words, Satan knows that as somebody with a malignant narcissist like Loree McBride, he knows that she has a need to maintain her illusion. You know what? Let me tell you what. If you'll notice, most of Loree's followers are clones. I think many of these clones have an inferiority complex. They know they were created by the fallen angels, or that they have fallen angel DNA, and this makes them feel inferior, and they're angry at God for allowing them to be created. It's like, I think their attitude is, it's not my fault that I'm a clone. I didn't ask to be created, so here I am, and deal with it. I think that's right. And the way they're dealing with the feelings of inferiority that they have for being a clone is that they say, well, I'm actually better than people that aren't clones. And of course, they're not going to go out and say this, but that's the thing. There's like a deep feeling of inferiority with these clones because they feel inferior for being a clone. That's what's driving them. Some of the clones are coming to us, though. This may explain why Jesus has not allowed them all to be totally destroyed, because Jesus loves everybody. Jesus even loves Satan. So some of these clones are coming to us. So apparently even Satan can be reached. So I asked Jesus about that. I said, can Satan be redeemed? Because it says he's going to live forever and ever in the lake of fire when he gets his final dues. And Jesus said, even Satan could be redeemed if he decided to. He said, there's hope for everybody. He says, I've given everybody free will. So what I did is I created new laws that makes it, we're going to try to reach some of the Loree McBride Jesuits. Some of them aren't as seriously ill as Loree McBride, and maybe we'll be able to reach some of these people. I got to admit, it's going to be very, very difficult. People with narcissistic personality disorder are very hard to change. Have you ever noticed when you get in an argument with a Loree McBride Jesuit, it's still like you're going around in circles. You just can't get anywhere. You can't reason with them. Everything you do, they throw it back at you. It's like you can't. In fact, as soon as I pick up that I'm dealing with a narcissistic personality online, I usually just cut it off. I don't waste my time with them because you're not going to get anywhere. The only reason they're communicating with you is to validate their image to the world, their lying image to the world. That's all they care about. They are obsessed with validating their lying image to the world. They're obsessed with their image. Narcissists are like that. They're image-obsessed people. All they care about is how the world sees them. And if they communicate with you or contact with you and you're not a narcissist, their goal is to get you to help them reinforce their lying image to the world. And some of these, you say, why are they like this? it's very complicated, but I created a page that explains the narcissistic personality disorder. I've been studying them so much in the past week. I'm probably almost as good as some of those clinical psychologists out there. Plus, I'm a victim of one. My ex-husband was a narcissist. I figured that out. I think even my mother raising me had some narcissist tendencies because she always made me feel like I could never be good enough. And she was so unreasonable in her expectations. And she's gotten worse now that she's hanging around with my narcissist sister. You may say, how could you be raised by a narcissist and you not turn out to be one? Well, to be honest with you, I rejected my mother's narcissism as a teenager. I just thought it was so utterly unfair. And I realized that, but let me tell you what it did to me as a young lady. I was so shy. She criticized me so much, and she was so unreasonable, and I never knew when she would go off in a rage that I was a very, very shy young lady. And the way I reacted to my narcissist mother was that I would sit in a classroom all day as a young lady, and I wouldn't speak to a soul. I was afraid that anything I said or did would be wrong. My mother trained me that way. And she basically didn't encourage me to use my own mind. She always tried to do my thinking for me, which is typical narcissism because they're controllers. And she's a big controller. So I've had a lot of experience with narcissists. I was raised by one. Unfortunately, my mother's narcissism poisoned my sister, and my sister turned into a narcissist. You know, I used to admire my sister for graduating with straight A's from nursing school. And, you know, we have high IQ in my family. My mother's got high IQ, my father, genius IQ. So you can be a narcissist and have high intelligence, but my sister got a master's degree and a bachelor's degree, and looking back, I think the reason my sister was able to graduate with straight A's from nursing school, which I used to really admire, I thought, wow, this is great. I was so proud of her. I think she did it because she was a narcissist. I think somehow she felt inferior. I don't know what, it could have been my mother trying to meet you know what I think it is? My sister was the pet in the family growing up, and my mother was always unreasonable with both me and my sister. She's always been a little bit too hard on her kids, and with me, she was so unreasonable that I just shucked her totally as a teenager and became a Christian, and that saved me. That saved me from becoming a narcissist like her. But I notice when I hang around her narcissistic tendencies rub off on me, and I start going in that direction. Like one time when I was hanging around her, she kept criticizing Brent to me and the men in my life, saying, if they really loved you, they'd give you money right now. And the reason you don't have money right now is because blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I'd hear this over and over. And I felt like I had to prove myself to my mother and say, but mother, I don't need money to be worth. I don't have to have your income or my sister's income to be a worthy person. I can live at low income and still be a worthy person. Because I actually surrendered to go to the mission field. I totally rejected my mother's narcissism, which was good. I'm glad I was like that as a young lady. And that saved me becoming a Christian and embracing Jesus's way of thinking. See, in Jesus, your worth is not determined by your status in society or whether you have a lot of money or whether you're famous or whether you're in a respectable profession like law or medicine. Your worth is determined by who you are on the inside, which is the way it should be. But to a narcissist who are status obsessed, your worth is determined by, I set my alarm. I have to get up early. Anyways, your worth is determined by your status. So anyways, Loree McBride, you know what I think her problem is? She was created in a cloning lab, okay? That actually gave her a wound because I think deep down inside, she feels inferior for being a clone. And she feels like she has to prove that clones are superior because she was created to be the perfect wife for Brent Spiner. They created her to break up Brent's love for me, to get in between us and make sure that Brent never marries me. Because the Jesuit order, led by Satan, found it very threatening that I with the genetic profile of King David and Catherine the Great, that I got the love of two famous men. Actually, I now got a whole marriage list. And, you know, these narcissists they're using projection. And basically, narcissists don't see themselves realistically. They're horrified over their real selves. They don't even know who they are. They don't even have an identity. So and their whole life is fed into this rage of energy to protect the image they want the world to believe. In other words, they have a false image of themselves. Their whole world is a bunch of lies. They're horrified over who they think they really are. They can't deal with it, so they don't really have any self-identity. They don't have any true self-respect. And I actually think Loree McBride deep down underneath hates herself, but it horrifies her. So she says, no, I don't. I love myself. I'm perfect. And I think we just need to write her off. I don't think she's going to come to God. I don't think she's going to get right till, I don't know, till she might end up becoming the false prophet or the Antichrist in the tribulation. I don't know. But some of her followers that are poisoned by her narcissism, who are actually either narcissists or narcissistic personality disorder or psychopaths, some of her followers, the ones that are not strong narcissists, like Zach Knight had narcissist tendencies, but he wasn't as strong as Loree McBride, and we reached him. And Rule 13 wasn't a narcissist that much. She was like a very weak one. The Jesuit order tends to attract people with narcissistic personality disorder. In fact, I think Satan has narcissistic personality disorder. Anyways, go ahead and listen to this. I think it's very important for us to understand the narcissistic personality disorder because they have hijacked the Democrats in the United States so that Loree McBride leads the Democrats, and you've got to listen to these videos. I listened to all these videos on the narcissistic personality disorder. I thought, oh, wow, that explains my whole life. That explains that explains my mother, my ex-husband, what Loree McBride is, the Brent Spiner clone. If you really want to understand who Loree McBride is, who the Brent Spiner clone is, you got to check out this page I have underneath this link. I have written law. I am so convinced that the Loree McBride Jesuits are afflicted with narcissistic personality disorder. I've made it law that that we're going to use law enforcement to take them to mental health facilities, and they need to be treated for narcissistic personality disorder unless they're a psychopath. If they're a predator, I call it a predator. If they're a predator, they're beyond hope. They need to be executed for public safety. I believe Loree McBride has gotten to predator state. Unfortunately, she has Antichrist powers, so we are not able to take her out, but she's very dangerous. Don't let her fool you. If you're a Democrat, I got to warn you, narcissists know how to manipulate people. Don't fall into her trappings. I think the Democratic Party should break away from Loree McBride. You should break away from her. She has poisoned you. She's turning you into a bunch of narcissists. You can tell when you, like with these people that are rioting, you know, and stuff, they're all a bunch of narcissists. You can't reason with a narcissist. They're emotion driven and they're insane, frankly. So, I've made a law that they all need to go into treatment. If they're psychopaths, which means that they're deadly, then they need to be executed because that would be like trying to reason with Ted Bundy or Adolf Hitler. You know, I mean, you can't. They're beyond hope. If they're going to come to God, it might be after they've burned 1,000 years in hell. I don't know. Anyways, check the links underneath this video. They're very enlightening. I've made it new law that Loree McBride Jesuits need to go into treatment if they're treatable. Some of them are, okay?